week. All right, we're rolling.
Okay.
Let's see. How should I start? We'll do a quickie. The usual fucking. This week's show. Welcome to this week's show, the Crazy Gentleman Podcast. I'm your host, Crazy Gentleman. This week's show is brought to you by Bare Knuckle Performance. BareKnucklePerformance.com, home of the highest quality American-made parts for your Harley Davidsons and Indians, FXRs, Dynas, Sportsters, Baggers, Choppers. Go get it. Paul's got it. Simbita _custom _knives.com. No, Simbita _custom _knives on Instagram. SimbitaCustomKnives.com. Give Evan a call. Tell him I sent you for the highest quality hunting and outdoor and cutlery knives available. Lexan-Moto.com. I'm out of control today.
You got this down.
Go check them out for the highest quality audio devices inside your helmet.
I know I don't have one on this on
damn,
that helmet. I know I'm slacking. I got to get something on that helmet.
What do you even do?
I have one on my other helmet, but I left it in my bike in California. So this is.
We'll let her slide.
I know my backup, but I had one and I lost it.
We'll let her slide.
Literally.
Mark, send her one.
Yeah.
Come on, dude.
I know. I do. I need
one. Get this girl a fucking Lexan. Punch in the code word crazy for 15% off at checkout. And also hit up the Bump Shop Diaries, the bumpshopbackroom.com. It's the only place you can get your Crazy Gentleman merch now. And also check out Rodney's Hardtail Coffee Company. Or I forgot what he calls the coffee company, but it's on there. And it's the Hardtail blend. I know that's what he's got. And also, there's another I'm forgetting.
Come on.
Oh, I'm going to start throwing this in there. That's what I'm forgetting. Also, thank you to my producer, Whiskey Eye. And but I'm throwing this all in there, too. Go like, subscribe, and rate me. And what else do you do? Share.
Yeah, you got to share it.
Share that shit, man. And that's it. I just want to throw in some shameless advertising. And fucking hit up the Patreon. I'm fucking poor. I need money.
Yeah, so you can keep doing these.
I got to keep doing these.
Yeah, they got to support you.
Yeah, if you guys start paying me good enough, I'm going to keep doing 2 a week. For like the next 5 weeks, I got 2 more, 2 a week.
That's a lot.
It's a fuck ton.
Yeah.
I'm fucking grinding.
I guess so.
But if it don't keep up, man, you guys got to pay me. Otherwise, it ain't going to keep up. So anyways, that's my advertising.
Well, that was pretty good. That's pretty good. You got all that down.
I know. I'm on like level 90 today. I don't even have coffee yet.
Yeah, well, you better get on it. It's already 2 o'clock. You'll be up all night if you have coffee at 6 o'clock.
I know. I need to be up all night. I should have fucking got a coffee before this.
I would say I don't drink coffee, so I can't help you. We don't have a coffee pot here.
All right. Damn.
Yeah, but you can borrow my car if you want to go and get one down the street.
I might take you up on that later.
I would assume you got to have a cup holder on your bike.
I don't.
Thank God. I was so hoping you were going to say no. Motorcycles should not have cup holders.
You heard that?
Yes.
Take the fucking cup holder off that FXR.
God, that's even worse if it's not an FXI.
Huge
you might as well be riding a Goldwing.
Right.
Boy.
Yeah. Oh, man. So it's safe to say none of your bikes have cup holders.
Negative. No cup holders for me.
Your dad did tell me that you are the real motorcycle hoarder in the family.
Of course he's going to say that. Of course he is. He is on me all the time. Hey, Jode, how about if you sell this bike? Hey, Jode, I got a bike for you to buy, but you got to sell one of your other ones. And I just recently did a raffle, which I will never do again. It is a lot of work. It is tedious, but that was like, I have been chasing this 94 FXR that was mint. And, we've been chasing it probably 3 or 4 years at least. And it finally, we were able to buy it. And he's like, Joe, you got to get rid of one of your other FXRs. I'm like, Dad, I think that he forgets because I have my bikes like spread out.
Yeah.
But then he comes up with it. I'm like, ooh, he remembered I have that one.
Do you keep any at his place? Is that why you might be a little annoyed?
Yeah, well, no, I have a couple of bikes at his house, but they're ones that I will probably never sell, or I hope that I don't ever have to sell them.
Yeah.
But between his house, my garage here. You know, we have a storage, like, you know, that they're spread out, but on purpose. You know, like if I'm here and we need to go for a ride, I got a bike to ride. Not that there isn't bikes here I can ride, but it's just good to have. And motorcycles is my business. Yeah. Like, I drive an old vehicle with 180,000 miles on it because I'd rather buy a motorcycle. Yeah. I'd rather, you know, pay for a motorcycle than pay for a new truck. I don't care what I drive. I'm not impressing anybody. I'm the same way. Yeah. Exactly what you just said sounds like the exact same conversation in my head. Yeah. Like, there's just bikes everywhere. I'm justifying it all different ways. Right. I mean, that's exactly it. I am justifying. Like, I don't have any kids, so I'm not spending money on children. Like, whose kids are these? These are my nieces, which I spend money on them. They suck me dry. But I can, at the end of the day, bring them back to my brothers, you know? So... as much as I absolutely love them, as you can see, you know, even them, they're limited. Yeah, that's the best part about nieces and nephews. They're returnable. Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, like I said, I spend, just last night alone was like $50 on dinner. But tonight I won't have to spend any money on them. So whereas kids, you know, you spend money. So instead I spend it on my motorcycles. Yeah. Same here. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, we're already 5 minutes in here. And you already out of questions? That's it? No, you done? No. I take so for like big guests like you, I'll take like like listener questions. Yeah. All right, awesome guests like you. You're pretty big and awesome. Okay. But I'll take listener questions. So the first listener question is from it's really about the same listener question as your dad. So question number 1. Okay. Why Bobby Seeger? I love Bobby Seeger. How can you not love Bobby Seeger? I mean, he does have a good butt. As everybody in the whole entire world knows. Yeah. That follows world him famous. On social media. He makes me laugh. All right. He's a good dude. He's the fucking awesome. He's like the last. There isn't many, like, real dudes. Real men left. Yeah. Like you riding here. We're a dying breed. Yes. Yeah. It's like, I hate to say it, but like 35 and under, forget it. They're done. I agree. Now that I'm older than 35, fuck all those youngsters. Yeah. Me too. Whereas they're like, how old are you? 40. Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah. All right, so how old are you? I'm 39. I thought you were also 39, but I'm only a fucking month and a half away. Yeah, I was 39 last year. Oh. But... yeah. Whatever you got to do to get to 40. You're only a month away, so your birthday's in August? September. I'm like a month and a half away. So, yeah. There's no difference between 39 and 40. No. I'm really more excited to turn 40 than I think I was 30, as weird as that is. It's just like, it's a number. Excited. Like, I'm not like 40 when you're 20 seems old. Right. You know, 40 when you're 40 isn't old. I don't feel like I'm old. No. I don't want to be old. I'm never going to be old. I'm constantly on the go. I'm on the move. Like, and I will always be like that. Or I hope so. That's my goal. So it's just a number. Yeah, I agree. I think, and I hope this for you too, I think my 40s is going to be the best decade of my life. I'm trying to make that happen. Yeah. It's funny. I'm back to Bobby Seeger. So what was DP's response? Oh, so I'll ask you the second question, which is actually DP's question. That was a specific question from him for you. But the other question, also from the same listener, is Dad allowed to be a groomsman? No! You have to get married to be a groomsman. Am I going to be a bridesmaid? Guess we'll find out. Oh, Bobby Seeger. Yeah. I don't know. What were you saying, though? What were you saying? What DP's response was his response, Bobby Seeger. He laughed and he said he loves Bobby. He does. Yeah. He just laughed. I will say, like, back in the, early to mid 2000s, when we were doing a ton of shows with Indy and Larry and whatnot, like, I know my dad got so much, like advice as far as like marketing and t-shirts and that kind of stuff, like Bobby definitely helped us a lot. And Elisa, like that was her thing, like, you know, and they were always helping us and, hey, you should do this and you should do that. And even now, today, like now, you know, I call Bobby, hey, what should I do? Hey, you know, what do you think about this? And, you know, he's good like that. He's good with helping. And I know, you know, you either love Bobby or you hate, or I shouldn't say, hey, you love Bobby or you're intimidated by Bobby.
Yeah.
And same way with Bobby. Bobby either loves you or he hates you. Like, there's no in between. So if you're on that good side, that's a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I've never seen his bad side. I don't know. To me, he's just the nicest guy.
He's such a good guy.
You know?
Yeah, he's a good guy.
But he's a fucking genius, man. Like, I mean, really, what he's done with Indy and Larry, like, I don't think anyone else really in the world could have kept carrying that on.
Yeah, I agree. You know? Like, I mean, he's built a whole brand around somebody that's not alive.
Yeah, it's fucking wild.
Yeah, it is. It is. I really look up to him in that sense, that he took that and ran with it, you know, regardless of Larry being here or not.
Yeah.
And even when he was here, there's no doubt Bobby built him.
Yeah, I mean, that's really why I think Paul Cox would be the only other guy, like, applicable to do that. But I don't think Paul's capable, no knock to Paul, but like we're saying, in a business sense, Bobby's the fucking man, dude. Yeah. You know?
I agree.
But the reason I mentioned Paul is he was just like one of Larry's other right-hand guys. Like, just,
good guy too.
You know. Yeah. But in a business sense, fucking Bobby's just a genius, man.
Yeah.
You know?
I agree.
But anyways.
All right, listeners' questions.
Yeah, there's no other listener questions. That's just I never.
I figured that.
I never even take listener questions.
Yeah, because I was thinking like, okay, we're not live. Like, how are you? I knew the setup.
No, the only I happened to be hanging out with Bobby the night before I came here to see your dad.
Yeah.
And he just happened to ask, like, because quite honestly, who Bobby is, he's the nicest fucking guy. He's always like,
but he's a plugging me in.
No, he happened to ask me like who I'm doing shows with, and I said, well, I'm going to Perewitz tomorrow, and like, cause he is always like hooking me up with phone numbers or connections, like. That's why he asked, like, who I'm doing a show with. Like, he wants to help, you know? Yeah. And I mentioned that, and he goes, oh, cool. Ask Dave. And he told me a silly question. So I happened to text him last night, and I said, yo, man, I happen to be going seeing Jody. You got any silly questions for her?
Oh, boy.
That's all. I never take listener questions. Sorry, listeners.
So don't send you questions.
Yeah, people do, but I just don't listen, you know? Like, same with like you'll probably never see me do things like you see a lot of people be like, I'm going to Sturgis, who do you want me to podcast? Or like, it's rare I do that, and even then I barely listen to what they say. Yeah. I just try to act like I'm interactive on social media, but like I just don't care enough about social media. Well, it kind of
probably makes it a little more organic when you do people on your own, you know, you're doing.
100%. And it's either a fault or a plus. I guess it depends on the show, but I never do any like research beyond what I just know about someone. Like I didn't, like, whatever I know about you, I just wing it. I just want to have an hour conversation, and I don't want it to be all weird and planned.
Well, and it makes it a little more organic. Like if you were say, hey, tell your story, and I tell it, you don't know it.
Yes, exactly. I don't want it to feel like we're on fucking ABC here. Yeah. On the Jimmy Kimmel show or something, you know? But, so tell your story. Actually, no, don't even tell your story. I'll kick your story off with this question that I thought of on the ride here. Okay. Tell me about your first ride on a motorcycle, whether it was with your dad, I'm assuming, which would have possibly been your first one, or you as an adult, your first ride on your own motorcycle. Whatever you want to tell. Tell your story. Okay.
So obviously I grew up around motorcycles. So honestly, my first ride on a motorcycle, I can't even tell you when it was.
Just before memory even.
Yeah, yeah. Because I mean, I know I used to ride on the back with my dad, and like there's pictures where I can't touch the pegs. I can't even, and I'm having,
little legs
my little arms are like a quarter of the way around TP's belly and back, holding on. But, like really at first, like riding on my own, I have an older brother, and whatever he did, I wanted to do as well. And he was always willing to teach me. So, he had a little, dirt bike. I believe it was like a 90. And I couldn't touch the ground. I was sitting on it. So he said to me one day, hey, you want to ride my dirt bike? And I was like, yeah. So he helped me on, like, helped me kind of holding it up. And I took off and went around the yard. And my dad, they have a huge yard, huge piece of property. So I had gone like kind of out into our field and then came around and came back, and I was like, oh shoot, how am I going to stop? I can't touch. But I was smart enough to know I kind of like pulled up near a log pile and like put my foot down on the log, kind of like tipping it and holding it up until my brother came over and was like, hey, good job or whatever. So that was kind of like my first ride on a, dirt bike on a 2 wheels, let's say. And then we had like little 50s growing up and stuff like that. But then it wasn't until Daytona, and I was probably 15 because I didn't have my license yet. And my brother, he had a Buell. And he said, hey, we're at a family friend's house in a neighborhood, and he's like, hey, you want to ride my bike? I was like, yeah. And so he ended up, I rode like his bike all around the neighborhood, and that was like my first, same thing, like on the street.
How old do you think you were at that time?
I was like 15.
Okay.
I had already ridden bikes, at that point we were riding all the time, in the fields and stuff on dirt bikes, but not like on real, on the street and real motorcycles. So then after that, I got my own bike and stuff. And my first like custom, let's say, is when my dad was building the old shop. So I'm going to say like 2003, 2004 era. He said to me we had to get bikes from his house over to the new shop, just because for like storage reasons. And because the new shop wasn't finished yet, they were still working on it. And one of the bikes was Brad Whitford's from Aerosmith's, and it was a full custom that we had done. And he's like, hey, you got to ride Brad's bike. And I'm like, Dad, I can't ride that bike. And he's like, why not? And I go, I've never ridden it. And he goes, well, how do you expect to ride it if you never ridden it? Like, you got to ride it. And I was like, okay. And I remember thinking, like, before I got on it, like, being nervous.
Yeah, of course.
But my dad's confidence in me, as that evolved in many things that I have done, is my dad has confidence in me, and that's my confidence,
Right.
So, and I thought, like, in my head, all right, well, if he says I can do it, then I guess I'm going to do it. And, like, it was like nothing. Like, It was easy. Like, it didn't, and then from then on, it just evolved into riding everything and anything.
Yeah.
And even like learning, tank shift and foot clutch and that kind of stuff. And so it was just like, whatever it was, I wanted to ride it, then I can say, oh, I rode this, because there's a lot of people in this industry that they only ride new bikes, or they have, an FL that's their only bike. That's the only bike you see them on. That's what they ride every day.
Right.
Like, I ride a variety. Like, there is no bike that I am on twice in a week. I'm always on different stuff, and I think that's cool because it makes you such a better rider and more well-rounded in the motorcycle industry. And that's kind of, I take a little bit of pride in that, because I literally eat, sleep, and breathe 2 wheels.
Yeah.
It's what we do. So in my opinion, I don't like to wrench. I don't like to, it sounds silly coming from you, but I hate getting my hands dirty.
Yeah, that does sound
I don't mind.
I never thought you'd say that.
I know, there's so many people that I've said this to think the same thing. I don't mind getting my hands covered in paint, but I hate grease. Like, I do not want my hands getting greasy. So if I don't have to wrench, I don't want to wrench.
Okay.
But I do feel as though the knowledge of mechanics and how a bike works and, being able to diagnose things and fix things is important. So I do know, and especially like when we were racing, when we were land speed racing, I was the only one that could ride my bike. So I had to be able to come back and say, hey, there's a noise coming, I think, from the transmission, or I feel a vibration, or, I had to be able to come back and tell, my crew chief or my tuna, hey, it's doing this, and have like a educated guess.
Right.
So the more I knew about that motorcycle and the mechanics of it and how it worked and everything, the better I could become a rider.
Right.
Because like I said, I was the only one that could go back out there and say, hey, it's gone, or it's still there, I think it's this or it's that. Because you can only diagnose so much from a standstill.
Right.
So in that sense, I think that being very well-rounded in the motorcycle industry is a really good thing. And I'm in so many different bubbles.
Yeah.
And on purpose. Because I love it.
Yeah, people in the motorcycle, it's probably an irrational thing, but it does annoy me when people can't just jump on a bike and fucking ride the thing. They're like, oh, well, I can't flat foot, or like, like what, I don't know, whatever it is. I guess the foot clutch thing is the only thing I'll give you the hall pass on, but it's like, because like not everyone gets the opportunity or builds bikes with foot clutches.
True.
So I'll give you a hall pass on that, but like people that like just piss and moan about like, I can't ride, I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up.
I agree. And it's my business, so, it's a little different.
Yeah.
But regardless of if I went and got a job being a teacher, I would still want to be on every single motorcycle I can.
Right.
Because I love it. And I think that it makes me more well-rounded, that customer comes in with an old FXR, and he's got a problem. I can relate to it because I have FXIs, like I ride them.
Yeah.
I know those bikes, so it makes me a better business as well.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I mean, in order to be good in any business, you kind of have to participate in that business.
Yeah.
But as you know, there's a lot of people that don't.
No, at 5 o'clock they're done.
Right.
Like my clock doesn't shut off.
Right.
I'm 24/7.
Yeah.
With motorcycles, but I love it, and it's what we do. It's provided myself as well as my father, a good life. And we're not millionaires by far, but we have experiences that probably millionaires can't buy.
Yeah.
So it's cool because we're in all these different bubbles all around motorcycles that give us cool opportunities.
Yeah. So over all these years, have you ever strayed from like V-twin or Harley-based motorcycles? You ever play around with like sport bikes when you were younger or anything like that?
No.
Did that ever grab you?
No, not really. I mean, and I still have this, like I would love to have a Ducati.
Me too. I want a monster so fucking bad.
I would like the 848
or
a 1099, but it's kind of like Hollies are our thing. That's our business. And I currently own another brand motorcycle, and I had some issues with it.
Okay.
And I was literally like cursing because we couldn't fix it. And it was, beyond us because it turned out to be electronical, and we don't have those capabilities.
Right.
And I was
just
like,
gotta send it to the dealer.
Yeah. And I was like, so mad because I'm like, we are a motorcycle shop. Like, my dad has been doing this for 50 years, and I have to pay somebody to fix my motorcycle. Like, what the heck?
Yeah.
But it's new technology. We're not that sophisticated as far as electronics and technology.
It's like a whole other world. Yeah.
But so in that aspect, that's why I've always been hesitant to buy another brand. Mm-hmm. Because if I buy a Ducati and I ride it and I have issues with it, we can't fix it.
Yeah.
We can change the tires on it and probably do an oil change.
Yeah.
But I don't, it's kind of like I would never buy a foreign car.
Gotcha.
And granted, we don't work on cars, but we have the knowledge to work on them, and, I have friends that work on them.
Yeah.
So, it's kind of the same thing. I do love Harley Davidson.
Yeah.
I will say though, my collection is getting older, not new. I don't want new bikes. I want old bikes.
Did you get into old bikes before you started doing the vintage racing, or did the vintage racing give you the bug for the old bikes? Like, which one came first?
I would say the vintage racing got me into the old bikes.
Okay. Like so I guess like you somehow through this business got an opportunity to throw your leg over a vintage bike.
Yeah.
And then it bit you.
Like
then the bug bit you, I mean.
Yeah. So I had, my first bike was my brother's Buell, which I ended up buying from him. So that was my first bike. And then my second bike was my 63 Panhead.
Oh, wow.
So my dad had got it as a basket case a long time ago. And then, it was finally like, he was like, all right, we're going to build this for you.
Is that the one right here on the showroom?
Yeah, the brown one.
Yep.
Yeah, so that was like my second bike. So that was like my first like real, legit build custom. Like not that it's a custom because it's a Panhead, but like I had to learn how to kickstart it because it's kick only, and I had to learn about it, because riding old bikes you got to have the knowledge because there's so much more than just starting them and go. They're not, they're not like that. You gotta you gotta massage them before you even get on them.
Yeah.
So I had that. I've had that 63 for a long time, and I rode it a ton when we first built it for a couple years. It was my main bike. That's what I rode it everywhere. So I had an old bike, but then like doing the vintage stuff was like, man, I want to get more into this, and I was learning more about it and. How cool they are. And like, I was loving the rocker clutch and the tank shift. Like it made it so traditional bikes now are boring.
Right.
They're boring to ride. Like I could take a nap.
I was telling your dad that like I had one of my favorite FXRs here last time. It's like kind of chopped up. It's a pretty cool bike, but I was telling your dad what I want to do with it. And one of the things was I wanted to M8 it. I bought the M8 drivetrain. I'm like, but I'm not doing it with this bike. I changed my mind, and I said to him, he's like, why not? They're awesome. I said, because they're fucking soulless. Like, this bike will lose its soul if it has an M8 in it, Like,
yeah, I mean, I changed mine to a twin cam.
Yeah.
And already it's kind of like, now I'm like, but, I have other effects.
Well, that's what I'm going to do instead. I'm going to twin cam it instead of the M8. In my opinion, the twin cam is the last real Harley, although I'm in the very small minority that thinks that.
I kind of agree.
I used to say the Evo, but then once the M8 came out, I'm like, the twin cam is the last real Harley. I realized what a real awesome Harley the twin cam was once I saw the M8s. Yeah. And I love the M8s. I have an M8 bike here. Not knocking the M8. It's just not, you just don't throw it in every bike.
Right.
It is what it is.
The M8 is for the long distance ride where you don't need to be cool.
Yeah, it's my commuter bike.
Right.
I call it my Honda Civic of motorcycles.
Yeah.
Like, it's just...
Yeah,
like what it is.
I have contemplated in the last like month buying a new Road Glide for the long distance because I do a lot of riding. I mean, this year alone on my Road Glide, I've already from Daytona to the beginning of May, I have like almost 8,000 miles.
Damn. Is that a twin cam Road Glide?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
it's an older Road Glide.
Newer.
Yeah, and I'll keep that bike always. Yeah. But I'm just thinking like, I do a lot of riding, and granted, I would love to say, hey, I rode my Panhead across the United States, but you gotta have the situation to do that.
100%.
If anybody's with you and they're on new bikes, they don't want to wait for you. No. They don't want you have to get gas every 70 miles.
You've also...
Yes,
because that thing could fucking put you down for a few days, or the whole trip could be canceled.
Right.
I get it. I get it. I'll always have a new bike also for that. Like, you kind of need a new bike if you ride. If you ride enough miles, there's only so much time and money in anyone's life to just fucking ride Panheads all the time.
Yes, I agree.
Like, when you have a full-time job or multiple jobs and all this fucking life is tugging you in 70 different directions, like, there's only enough Panhead playtime.
Right.
Like, it just
so
is what
true.
it is,
That's
dude.
exactly what it is. There's only so much time, so you got to pick your battles.
Yes,
you know,
100%.
And
that's what I call that bike, my time saver. It just is what it is.
Yeah, and that's a good way of putting it. That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
You need that.
my Indian, I mean, I have 20,000 miles on that, or I think it's actually a little bit over, but whatever, 20,000 miles on that. That's the most miles I've ever put on one motorcycle.
Really?
Yeah, because I'm always on different stuff.
Yeah,
You know, I mean, I've ridden to Sturgis on an FXI. I've ridden to Sturgis on a Softail. I've ridden to Sturgis on my Indian. This year I'll ride on my Road Glide. Like, I never ride the same thing.
Right.
So my Indian, you know, I rode that solid. And I mean, I barely even rode it last year. So that's really the first year I put 20,000 miles on it. So to me, that's a lot of miles on one motorcycle. Okay. 20,000 miles on a motorcycle in a year is not a lot.
Right.
You know, I'll get that. I'll get 3 trips and I got that. You know, I put a lot of miles on motorcycles, but like I said, it's just usually different motorcycles.
Before I ask any silly questions, like a little out of line, are you affiliated with Indian at all? Like any sort of backing or sponsorship of any sort?
No, they did sponsor me for the first 2 years.
Okay.
But they
that's
don't
all done
anymore.
now.
Yeah.
Is that what you would want to replace if you get the new Road Glide? Is that like kind of the...
Probably.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And honestly...
That's what it is. There's other episodes, like I'll just lose clips. I'm not heartbroken. I don't know how heartbroken you are over it. If we lose a few minutes here and there on YouTube.
It makes it interesting.
But the podcast end of things is all good, so whatever. That's what this is. This is just the audio podcast end of things, whatever. Fuck it.
Yeah.
Welcome back, YouTube, for as long as we get you again.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. But you got. Yeah, I get it. Keep the new motorcycle in the stable at all times.
And I mean that my Indian, the Indian Challenger, is by far the best motorcycle I've ever ridden.
Really?
Those motorcycles are so extremely well engineered. It's got power. It's well balanced. It handles unbelievable. It's got good brakes. It's got good suspension. I mean, right out of the box, that bike is a great bike.
Just not a Harley. Kind of as simple as that.
Yeah.
Like it just is.
But yeah, and I...
No knock against the bike or anything.
I'm on the fence of buying a new Challenger or a new Harley. I guess we'll have to stay tuned.
Gotcha.
See what I do.
Gotcha.
But that bike
Write that check, Indian.
Yeah. That, you know, that bike, riding it, you don't feel like you're on a big bike.
Right, okay.
It's so well balanced, even pushing it. Like, you could push that bike way easier than a Fat Boy.
Really?
They're just so well balanced, and it's and you know, I don't know if a little bit of it has to do with because the motor is hung.
Right.
It's not. There's no bottom.
There's no frame.
Yeah.
It's like sport bikes. Like how the engine's just hanging in there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but they're definitely. I mean, I hate to say it, but the new Harleys look just like an Indian.
Yeah.
You know, like what's going on there?
I've seen a lot of the comparison pictures. And all that. Yeah, I'm curious myself. Like, I've never thrown a leg over any of those.
You
Indians.
can, hey, mine's out here. You can take it.
I totally will.
Yeah.
I would really love to. I was
Seriously,
just going to say, like,
this,
I don't know anyone with one, so
after this,
I'll take it.
Yeah, it's next door. So, yeah,
awesome.
you
Is
can
there
go
a cup
take it for
holder?
a ride.
Can I get coffee on it?
I was just going to say, I mean, listen, I'll give you a water bottle so you can pour coffee in a water bottle and stick it in the saddlebag, but that's about the extent of it. Yeah, you'll have to.
I'll take it for a ride regardless.
Yeah,
I would love to.
Yeah, like I said, it's
have
a
you taken
good
that
bike.
FTR for a ride?
Yeah, those are cool.
I would love to take one of those for a ride,
Yeah,
too.
so at the end of the Cannonball, not last year, the year before, I had, my bike I had pretty much destroyed everything that I could have. I broke the frame, broke the front end, the motor mounts. Like, it was just, we tried fixing.
Did you get in a wreck?
No, it just
like rattled itself to death?
Literally. So the motor mounts had broke. The front one broke, and I was on the road, and part of the Cannonball is you have to get from A to B every day on your own.
On your own, right?
Right, under your own power and on your own. So I was like maybe 75 miles from the end, and I saw that my motor, because it was vibrating, like I knew something was wrong. So I checked my motor mounts. Sure enough, they were broken. So it was only on like the rear motor mount, which was only one.
Right.
And so I took baling wire as much as I possibly could.
Oh my God.
Literally wrapped it around the cylinder, around the frame. Like it was so hokey, but I was determined. Like I'm like, I only got 75 miles, and I was in first place.
Oh my God.
So I was like, I got 75 miles to go. Like I gotta milk this thing. And I had already, my primary cover had, the chain had hit it and it was grinding it down. So had already taken my primary cover off. So there's no primary cover. So you're seeing the open chain from the front sprocket.
Slinging fucking oil.
Oh, I was already covered with oil. That's a given on these bikes anyways. Like I literally throw away my jeans after. But so it's an open chain from the front sprocket to the rear sprocket to the transmission, and then a chain from
to the drive.
Right.
Yeah.
So so I got this baling wire. I am milking this thing. Like I used almost a whole spool just trying to hold it together. So I'm going along and I can see it like it's like this. The chain and the sprocket. I'm watching it down at my leg.
Oh, right, because on those bikes, there's no engine plate. The transmission and the... Oh, right.
Right. So there's nothing behind it. There's no inner primary.
Right. That's...
So,
yeah. Yeah, if there was a belt, they would have thrown the belt.
Yeah, so this is a chain.
Yeah.
So I'm watching this thing, and I'm like, oh, God, just keep going, keep going. And sure enough, I see it. It's wiggling. And I'm like, ooh, it's getting worse. And I look down at it right about when it breaks, and I lifted my leg up. The chain comes off, flying off. See, you really got to pay attention. So we have bicycle pedometers. And so you set it when you leave, and then you follow along.
Crazy.
But if you get lost... Now your pedometer is off. So you gotta,
What up, Dave?
How's it going?
All good.
Good.
I'm getting those bikes out from down the end.
Okay. So you
is
got
that
it
in miles?
Yeah, yeah.
What's the total day for those? Like, it only looks like 50 miles or so.
No, I mean...
Oh, God, this keeps going.
Yeah, so this particular day...
Like a 100-mile day?
This was a 280-mile day. And then, so it would tell you at the end what the next day is. So then the next day was Victoria to McAllen, 273 miles. There's breakfast. And so I was in class 2. So class 2 is 7:30. So I can't leave before 7:30. Wow. And then the first fuel is 15 miles. The maximum distance is 60 miles.
Wow.
And then the elevation is real important too, because we change you would change our sprockets.
Oh, okay.
Because they have such little horsepower, you got to use everything you can. If we have a steep incline, like going over the Rockies and stuff, and it's everything counts. Damn. When you have such minimal.
I can't believe how long those days are. I thought they were like 100-mile days.
No, and like this, so 7:30.
Like a 12-hour day on that fucking thing.
Oh yeah.
Like or more.
Yeah. Like, so 7:30 was my time to leave. And then you have to be in by a certain time. So here's the time. So my time was 5:15, and you have a half an hour leeway. So I had to be in by 5:45. And I would take till 5:30. Yeah, like you don't stop, like you stop, get gas, eat a piece of beef jerky, and get right back on the road.
Right.
Because the thing is, too, is you're not going to waste time eating lunch.
Yeah.
And then an hour down the road, your bike breaks.
Right.
So you just wasted an hour eating lunch when you could have used it to fix your bike.
Yeah, you kind of... Do they let you bring food?
Yeah, you can bring whatever you want.
Okay.
But you have to remember, too, is you're on an old bike, so you can only carry so much weight.
Right.
They're old and they don't...
Yeah.
What's
like, what do guys generally use? Like leather throw-over saddlebags or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like I have some saddlebags that I had made that are really nice. They're like strong, but they're literally just throw over. So I've used them on a couple of different bikes.
Cool.
Yeah. covered in oil, all
Right.
greasy,
Right.
like worn out.
And I would assume
stains
the
on
biggest
them.
thing you use is, the biggest thing you're packing is tools, probably, right?
Tools
Like,
and oil.
and parts,
Yeah.
oil.
Yeah,
How
so
much oil are those things consuming? Like a quart or two a day?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the oil was when I was on the chase. So the chase, you have to carry everything. There's no support vehicles.
Okay.
You have to do everything yourself.
So the
Day,
Chase is
night,
different
everything.
than the Cannonball?
Yeah. So the Chase is a little bit newer motorcycles.
Okay. How new? Like
The
knuckleheads?
48.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So the Chase is a little bit newer, but I didn't ride newer. I rode, I did it twice, and I rode the same bike twice, 1936. But those bikes take like 50 or 60 weight oil.
Okay.
And we had a hard time getting it, because not everywhere sells such heavyweight oil, straight oil.
Because even if you bring a quart or two, you need some the next day.
Every day we need a
Every day.
quart at least.
And there's no truck just giving it to
Right.
you at the end of the day.
Right. So what we would do a couple of different times, we would be in cities, and I would call, like, O'Reilly seemed to be the most reliable.
Right.
And I would Uber to the O'Reillys, get a case, and like 5 of us would share it.
Okay.
Because you could, like I
wow,
said,
that's
you could only
crazy.
carry so much.
Yeah.
And so so 1936 is the last year of the total loss oil system.
Mm-hmm.
So after that, 37 and up, they had a filter and it was just recirculating oil. So in the total loss oil system, every single time you get gas, you have to drop your oil. So I would get gas, take out my drain plug, drain the oil, put it back in, and then pump new oil, fresh oil, back into it. And so what that would do is, it would cool the motor down if it was hot, because now you're pumping cooler, fresh oil into it. And also it kept it consistent, because sometimes those pumps, it's like a hand pump on the tank, they're not consistent. So you don't know if you're over oiling or under oiling, and it, will run hot or not efficient, or it lags depending on the oil, and the oil just keeps sloshing around in the motor. It doesn't go anywhere.
Right.
Like in a modern,
Yeah, because there's no actual pump pressure, right?
Right.
It's just
it's
a
a hand
splash
pump.
oiler.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
Yeah,
It just
yeah.
keeps going through the motor. It's not going out into a filter and back around, back into the oil tank, then sucking new oil,
Right.
because that's how a new system
yeah,
would go.
like
This is
circulating.
just staying in the motor. So it's hot. It doesn't get that chance to
crazy.
escape like in a new system. So
Right.
anyway, so in that case, that bike was sucking up oil, the 36. I was going through probably almost 2 quarts a day.
Damn.
So it got to the point, Sean and I were on the same exact bike. So what was good is, like, he would carry some stuff and I would carry the other stuff, and we would share, and the two of us stuck together.
Right.
Pretty much the whole time. So, we worked together, and you can do that. You can work with the other riders, but like, I couldn't call you and say, hey, can you come and help me?
Right. Right.
Because then you're
Yeah.
out.
Do they say no use of cell phones?
You
is that a thing?
You can't use a cell phone for navigation. Go ahead.
Larry's setting up over here, right?
Yeah.
I don't think Steve's back yet with his trucks.
Oh, tell Larry to just go elsewhere. Go further down.
That's all Steve, though.
Dave, you gotta move my bike at all?
No.
Is it in the way? Okay.
I'll tell him.
Tell him to go on this side then.
Yeah.
So I don't know what I was saying. So anyway, the Chase and the
Oh,
Cannonball are great.
do they let you use cell phones at all?
Oh yeah. So no. I
Okay.
mean, we can call. So if you break down, okay. So here's the example. I actually, on the Chase last year. So on the first Chase, when I rode the 36, I had no problems whatsoever. I skipped along like nothing. We went from Sault Ste. Marie to Key West.
Okay.
All the miles, it was like 2,800 miles. I made all the miles. Like I said, no problems. Such a great bike. On the Chase last year, we rode Route 66. So from Illinois to Santa Monica. I had a problem every single day. Like, I was cursed. I was like, this damn bike, I was ready to ride it off the pier when we got to California. But I had 2 flat tires, 2 days apart on 2 different rims.
Okay.
While going down the road on this bike. And I've never, I mean, knock on wood, I've never had a flat tire on a motorcycle ever in all my miles.
Okay.
And I got 2 in 2 days apart on 2 different rims, 2 different tires. Happen or not.
Yeah.
Were you hot again?
Yeah, for like the last 10 minutes, I just let it cool down. Yeah, it
Sorry,
is.
YouTube.
It just is what it is.
Sorry,
YouTube's, you know. The good news is, though, like, the YouTube, I don't know how big it'll ever get. Like, some videos will have, like, you know, a few thousand views, but I just think generally, like, people aren't exactly searching for these shows. It's not like the shows are called, like fucking how to set points on a panhead or like...
Yeah, like they're searching
I mean?
for it.
Right. Like, and I don't do clickbaity stuff. Like, the most clickbaity I'll do is maybe like, I could title this one like Cannonball Stories with Jody Perewitz. And if someone's searching the Cannonball, like...
That's Dee's phone.
Oh. Like if someone's searching the Cannonball, like it might pop up or whatever. But like generally, people aren't just searching fucking Jody Perewitz or like fucking you know, like I don't know, like a couple
of my stalkers
like Brian. Yeah, Bobby will search.
He's already searching, seeing if it's up.
Yeah,
what's going on over there?
Yeah, but you know, people aren't really searching like fucking like dump truck was last week. Like they're not just searching dump truck.
True.
You know, like
yeah, I agree.
Whereas if I was making like Harley tech videos, they'd be fucking searching like you know, whatever, like how to check.
But those are boring.
Those
Who
are
wants
boring.
to do those?
That's what I'm saying.
There's already enough of those.
But the good news is more people listen to the podcast. Like the podcast is where the thousands will go.
Yeah,
you know?
I agree. And I listen to podcasts, not all the time, but I listen to them when I'm driving.
Yeah.
So
I feel like everyone in the world listens to podcasts at least a little bit now.
I do too.
Like, who doesn't listen to them? You know?
I hate to say this, but I like to listen to true crime.
Because you're a woman. Of course you fucking do. Of course you do.
I guess I gotta be female in some aspects.
Yeah. I knew it was hiding in there somewhere. Oh my God.
Yeah, I like those. But I will say I listened to just this weekend, Danger Dan. I like to listen to some of his.
Yeah. Who'd you listen to?
Ray Ripple.
Okay, yep.
Which I didn't, to be honest, I didn't listen to the whole thing.
It was like 3 hours.
Yeah, it was too long.
I didn't even start it yet, but
it was too long.
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah.
I listened to like an hour and a half, and it was only because the destination was an hour and a half.
Right. You get back to it.
I won't.
No.
I won't. I'd like to say I will, but it's my attention is like I'll go back to that and I'll see, oh, he's got a new one. Oh, I want to listen to this person. Like,
yeah.
You know, I feel like 3 hours is too long.
Yeah, I gotcha. Are you friends with Ray Ripple?
No, I don't know her, and I was actually really surprised at hearing her story. Mm-hmm. I didn't get into where motorcycles comes in.
Okay.
Because like in the first hour and a half, she never talked about motorcycles.
Really?
Yeah, like. Okay, Harley Davidson is giving you new motorcycles. Where is your motorcycles?
Right.
Like, where does that come in?
Right.
So, I mean, I would assume that it eventually comes out in the podcast.
Right.
But she's got an interesting story. I mean, I didn't realize... I don't know anything about her, to be honest.
Right. So that was your introduction to her.
Yeah. Other than she just, I feel like, blew up overnight.
Gotcha.
You know, she is all over the place now.
You know what I've learned, and maybe, who knows, maybe she did blow up overnight, but I know a lot of people in a lot of different parts of this world, let's say. Like, not motorcycles. I'm talking like, I know a lot of interesting people.
Yeah.
And the older I get and the more like bigger, successful people will call it, I don't know. Man, it is so fucking rare that things just happen overnight, or people were just given something. Like, man, it's just so fucking rare. Like, people that have this like small-minded attitude of like, so-and-so was born rich, or like so-and-so was given something.
Yeah.
Dude, that shit is so fucking far and few.
It is.
Like, chances are, man, they're fucking smarter, or they worked harder, or something.
Exactly.
Like, there's usually a story there.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Like, she's got a good story. Mm-hmm. You know, she really does. Like, I didn't like I said, I didn't know anything about her, and I was interested, like, that she's got a lot of history in multiple things and cool things, and like she's really seemed to have overcome a lot of things. And I hate that same thing, like that you've been given stuff.
Yeah, I call it the must be nice attitude.
Right.
Like, the second someone says that, I'm like, we're done here.
You know how many people
We're
probably
fucking
say
done.
that about me behind my back? I mean, I know they do.
Yeah, probably.
I recently had this guy in the motorcycle industry say to me, oh, well, you are where you are because of your father.
Right.
And it went up my butt so bad, where I was like, yes, I attribute my passion for motorcycles from my father.
Right.
I definitely got that from my father. But I feel like, and I've always made a point of this, and my dad has as well, like, I've paved my own way.
Right.
Like, I've earned
like it ends
my
at
keep.
Opportunity.
Right.
But after that, you got to work.
Exactly.
Like,
the thing is,
know?
I've had great opportunities in
Right.
front of me, and a lot because of my father, but I've been able to take advantage of them.
Right.
I've been able to seize them
Which,
and
what a
do
fool
them.
you would be not to.
Right.
You know, like.
Right. And that's what I mean. Like, you can give anybody an opportunity. It's a matter of what they're going to do with it.
Yeah, because I've seen a lot of opportunities fucked up.
Right. Right.
lot.
And so, I mean, you know, like racing, you know, when we would land speed racing, we have no racing in our family.
Yeah.
There's no, my brother and I would go to the local dirt track and ride our four-wheelers and dirt bikes and stuff when we were younger.
Yeah.
But I mean, other than that, like, there's no racing. We don't build race bikes. We are not racers. We don't have a history of racing. We don't go to races. We are not racers.
Yeah, your dad said it almost took him by surprise when you're like, I want a land speed race. He's
Yeah,
I don't even know where to start.
Right,
you know?
like, and that's the thing. Like,
Yeah.
we were such underdogs
Right.
at Bonneville that it was not even setting speed records and going 2 miles an hour and being the first speed to go on a motorcycle. That it was more glorifying because we didn't have the resources, we didn't have the knowledge, and we gained everything on our own.
Right.
And that's what I kind of look at. Like, and granted, my dad, I always say we, because everything that we did in a Bonneville and racing was a we. Mm-hmm. I couldn't have done it without my dad. My dad couldn't have done it without me. I couldn't have done it without my motorcycle. I couldn't have done it without my tuna, my crew chief, my dad's best friend that drove our truck and trailer.
Right.
It was a team. We all worked together, and it was a team. So I don't look at it like I'm riding my dad's coattails.
Right, right.
You know, we're on the same coat.
Well, you've pretty much taken the flag at this point.
Yeah, like, and that's okay. Like, I look at it like, I don't need the glory, and I don't care what other people say. I'm going to keep doing this. This is my passion. This is what I want to do. This is what I love.
I think, like, with anything successful, like, anytime you have success in any industry, I mean, to a certain degree, at some point you have to say, I couldn't give a fuck what anyone else thinks. Because if you do, you will never find success.
Right.
Never.
Right.
Like,
I agree.
you have to eventually say, fuck everyone.
Yeah.
Like really, there has to be that point.
I'm kind of at that point where I don't care.
You have to find that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, no matter where you're from, or just to find success, no matter how your path is to success.
Right.
Like,
right.
There's going to be some haters, and you got to tell them to go fuck themselves.
And the
You know?
I don't want to say the better, but the bigger you get, the more you accomplish. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
the more haters you get.
For sure.
And I don't, I don't ever goes in one ear and out the other.
Yeah.
And my dad and I are best friends. He is my best friend. And I look up to him and look up to all that he's accomplished. And the main thing that I look up to is he drives a 2005 GMC pickup truck with 300,000 miles on it, but he loves what he does.
Yeah.
He comes to work every single day happy.
Yeah.
And it's like, we don't, I would rather that than to see my dad driving a brand new Range Rover and hate going to work.
Yeah.
And, obviously he loves it because it's not about the money.
Right.
And that's, to me, I would rather be doing that than to be a multimillionaire.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I call it the ratio of like the success to fun to happiness ratio.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, man. All the money in the world doesn't ever equate to those other two things, like the happiness and the success. Like, it's just I don't like how the modern world defines success to just finances.
You're right. Yeah.
You know, it's like if you make, and everyone's number is different, but if you make a number that makes you happy, making more than that number is not going to equate to more happiness.
True.
And like, I don't think a lot of people realize how low that number really is when you really start to dig into your own happiness. You know, like, I mean,
and you gotta like almost sacrifice one for the other.
Always.
To make it equal. And like,
to find those balances, you're gonna have to give and take from all of those. Like,
right. You give up something to get something else. And that's, people don't see that in my life, so to speak, because I am really good at my job. I'm really good at my career, let's say, and I'm good at motorcycles. I'm like to say I'm good at painting and that kind of stuff, and I have a good dad that I have a good relationship with. But I'm not married. I don't have any kids. Like,
it makes it
I don't
a
even
lot
have any
easier.
pets.
Yeah.
I know, but it's like I sacrificed that for my career.
Oh, yeah.
Is what I'm saying.
Oh,
like,
100%.
I couldn't have had kids and still be setting land speed records. I couldn't have had a family and been riding across country, randomly on my motorcycle. So you sacrifice things, but people don't see what you're duct taping all the seams on it, and like the bolts on my windshield, we duct taped all
that helped?
Yeah, and it got us. So we were saying this is like 200-mile-an-hour duct tape.
That's
because
so
it got
crazy.
us 2 miles an hour. But it makes a big difference because the wind is cutting into the windshield versus going over it.
Yeah, I always heard also, like, every little ripple in your leather suit could cost you a mile an hour here and there. Like, that suit even has to be just streamlined tight when you're in that riding position.
Yeah. So my, especially on the second bike, we made it so my knees could go kind of behind it. So they were sort of protected. But on the first bike, like, I would be with all my might, like digging my elbows into my chest, my knees, squeezing with my knees as much as I could to stay tucked. Yeah, to stay tucked and stay in that position, because if you even think about it and like slightly lift your hand, like, your fingers are going to go, your hand's going to go, and then you are going to go.
Right.
Like, you will get ripped
you'll
off.
get ripped off.
Yeah. So, you really got to make sure that you're in it and tucked. And that, it was Warren. I can't think of what his last name was, but he set the record. So we saw that happen. That was our first race. And we were kind of like, this is so cool. Like, we are part of history. Like, he became the fastest conventional motorcycle, fastest sit-down motorcycle. So I believe that still holds 311 now. But, I mean, in Bonneville, I think it was like maybe 270s.
Okay. That's fucking wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone I know that's ever done land speed racing that either has a record or is chasing records, like, it takes years to just, like, get up to those speeds, like, clean passes and not have a problem that year, and like the weather. People don't realize how much the weather and the conditions can fuck you at Bonneville.
Right. There's so many things that factor into it. It's not just, the power of your bike or the balls of your rider.
Right.
It's everything. It's the wind, the condition of the salt, the horsepower, the torque, the rider, the time of day, the heat, There's so many things that factor in. You could have all the horsepower in the world. If you can't get it to the ground, you got nothing.
Right.
Because, there's some...
Or the conditions that year don't let you.
Right, like whether it's slick or, there was some years where I would make a pass and I'd come back and you could barely even put a piece of paper between my fender and the tire because it was so caked with salt.
Really?
Because it was so sticky. So, and then there was other years where it was dry as anything and there wouldn't be any salt on
So
my
you have
bike.
to unsalt the bike after every pass?
Yeah, every pass we would clean it out.
Wow.
Cool it down, go over it and then get back in line.
Damn.
And to make another pass. It was a lot of waiting. It was a lot, but in the meantime, I learned the motorcycle, you get friendly with all the other riders. It was such a great community. It was pickup trucks and trailers. It wasn't big rigs and fancy stuff and all the money and sponsors. It was real people that probably didn't pay their mortgage for the month so they could say they went to Bonneville.
Right.
But it's
I've
a
always
cool
heard it's the
environment.
nicest racing.
It is.
It's like the friendliest racing you'll ever do.
That's probably why I don't want to do drag racing either.
Oh, it's the nastiest.
Yeah,
I've
like I don't want to. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want. I want to be friends with everybody. Like I want to socialize with everybody and know that like they're not going to talk trash behind my back. I mean,
that's
I'm
what
sure that
drag
happens
racing's
to a
all
point.
about.
Right.
It's so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bonneville's just such a good environment. It's so cool. And, the first year that we went out there, we were totally the underdogs. And when when you go out there, everybody always asks you, hey, what's your goal? And I would say 200. People would literally laugh at me.
Yeah.
I would literally get laughed at and they'd just go like this and walk away. Like, because 200 is a magical number out there. It's everybody's goal.
That's my dream. I want to do 200 on an FXR.
Yeah. That would be wicked cool.
That's one of my life
dreams.
dreams.
I mean, that's what my frame was based off of.
Yeah.
But, it's like, that's the magical number. And here we are, a high-profile team just because we're a big name in the motorcycle industry, but have no racing history. We don't build race bikes. We don't ride fast. Like, we have nothing. That people literally laughed at us. And, like, when we finally did 200 that first year, my one magical pass, I had so many people come up to me and say to me, like, I never thought you'd do it. Holy cow, I can't believe you did it. Like, wow. Like, genuinely happy for me. Because
like, to do 200 that fast.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And I knew when I had done the research ahead of time and saw that, and I said to my dad, like, hey, no one's gone 200. Like, let's make that a goal. He was kind of like, all right, we'll see. All right, let's see what we can build. And, when we, like, my tuna, Dan Thayer, like, he is such a guru, and he was all about it. Like, he's like, yes, let's do it. Let's build this. This is what you got to do. We got to do this. And so it was almost like it was our whole team's goal.
Right. It was like failure's not an option at this point.
Right. And it was like I had to do it for them.
Right.
Like I wanted to do it all the more so my team could be glorious.
Yeah.
And it was that first year I made one pass at 203. And at Bonneville, that's another thing that's so difficult is you have to back it up. You have to go in the opposite direction within a certain amount of time. And then it's your average. The two speeds are averaged.
Okay.
So everything, like I said, everything is averaged. So I made one pass going 203. And then because we were rookies, we went to impound and we were overzealous. We were so excited. We didn't cool the bike down. We just figured, okay, well, the conditions change like that out there. So we got right back in line to make a return pass. And on my return pass, I broke a valve.
Oh.
So I never hit 200
So you really
again.
should have let it cool down.
Yeah, we should have let it cool down. But we were rookies, we didn't know. So I still made a pass at 200, but I didn't set a record at 200. I set a record, but it was only like 180s or something, 188 or something. And so it was kind of bittersweet, whereas we did it. But then there was like the haters who said it was a fluke thing. Oh, it was random. She had the wind at her back. Like, different things. But then we came back the following year and,
fucking killed it.
Yeah. Like 9 out of my 11 passes were all over 200. So we were pretty consistent at being over 200.
Yeah.
But we would definitely, the rookies and the underdogs, people would just doubting us. Here this girl is, who does she think she is, thinking she's just going to go 200 out of Bonneville right off the bat.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that I wasn't cocky about it. I was just confident that it was only a matter of time.
Right. You knew you had all the
the resources,
equipment, conditions, resources. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, and it was, maybe we didn't do it that first year, but we were going to come back and do it the second year. If we didn't do the second year, we'd come back and do it the third year. It was just a matter of time before we did it. But I was determined, like, that we wanted to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Would you say that was the peak of your motorcycle career, breaking that record, or you got something else?
I would like to think that it's not the peak because I still have so much more life and so much more.
Oh, I just mean to this point.
But yes.
I'm not saying you're peaking yet.
Bonneville is definitely like my glory days.
Okay.
In a sense of those are my huge, that is such a huge accomplishment. And I didn't know it at the time. Mm-hmm. It's only in the last few years that I'm seeing like how big those accomplishments really were. Right. Because we were so involved in it and I loved it. I was fearless, like I loved it. That we just ate it up. And there wasn't necessarily like social media like there is now, so it wasn't like easily put out there.
Right.
But I think I get almost more out of it now than I did back then.
Okay. That's interesting.
But yeah, it's definitely to date, I would say that's my glory days.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know that anything will top that because it's such a huge accomplishment. And granted, somebody might take my records, but nobody can say they were the first.
Right.
I will always be the first.
Yeah, that is
and
wild.
That's huge.
Yeah.
And that was when I had done the research about it, that was like, that gave us a little more power that like, hey, we want to be the first because nobody can ever take away the first.
Yeah. That's fucking rad.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. What do you say we wrap it up on that?
Yeah, I think we should.
Tell people where to reach you if they're not living under a fucking rock.
Yeah, if those people that are living under a rock, they can reach me on social media, on Instagram. It's just Jody Perewitz. I do not have Bookface, but you can follow the Perewitz page. There's constantly stuff on there. And we have a YouTube page. You can follow us on YouTube. It's Perewitz. Trying to post stuff on there more often. It's so difficult because I'm pulled in so many directions.
OnlyFans?
Yeah, we won't mention that because Bobby doesn't know about that, and he's probably listening to this because he'll probably be my biggest fan. Probably my only fan.
Whatever you got to do to get donations.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, man.
Yeah, snail mail. You come by the shop in Halifax. I'm here all the time if I'm not traveling.
Bike night.
Yeah,
bike night.
Bike night is tonight, and then the next one is August 16th, the third Wednesday of the month, and that is our last one. I don't know how you just did
that. The fucking calendar says July. How'd you know it was the 16th?
I have my cheat sheet right there.
Oh, bike nights.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, my cheat sheet.
I thought you were looking at that calendar.
Yeah.
I'm like, how the fuck did she
do
you
that? Think I could see those like little teeny numbers? Like, huh? What is that?
Yeah. She's a superwoman.
Yeah. You can zoom in.
All right, cool. Let's end on that. Thanks, guys. See you next week. And
yeah, thanks, Rob.
Fucking donate to the Patreon. I gotta go 200 miles an hour.
Definitely. Give this kid some money.
God damn. All right, see you guys next